start here.
Yes.
We don't know what the hell is going on with Bray Wyatt and Bray Wyatt's potential tenure with WWE or second stint with WWE. Apparently, he no-showed Madison Square Garden this past weekend or in the last week, and people don't know whether or not he's in or out or what, and it's kind of weird. And then me and Rich came to the conclusion, I don't know what's real or what's to talk about or speculate about. But Rich said, well, we could always just, evaluate what he has done on WWE television since he's returned to the E. And I lit up because I was like, that's even more fun than record speculation. So let's get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
So before
you
we
said
go,
you want to call this an audit. So
yes, the Bray Wyatt audit.
There you
And fitting since his dad is IRS, we audit his child and bring him to the stage. So we did One Nation Radio on October 10th of last year, and that you had some, James?
Yes. Is IRS an anti-Semitic gimmick?
I mean,
Earn our shyster?
Yeah.
What?
You raise a solid point, and we know Vince McMahon likes to, take out his problems with the world via wrestling. We saw the fake Antifa group just a couple years ago,
right? Retribution.
Yeah. IRS anti-Semitic gimmick. I think they might have slid that one past us, James.
I don't know so much of it slid or so much I was a kid and had no idea what the fuck the term shyster meant and came from.
Boy. Okay. So Bray Wyatt. We did the show. He came back at Extreme Rules. It's after months and months of that White Rabbit stuff. They were playing the Jefferson Airplane song. Arenas were lighting up.
The different versions, so
Yeah.
I can't keep look. These 70s white rock bands. I don't know. I'm sorry. Like I don't know how to know all the chronology when the bands turn over and change names and members drop and pick up. Like only thing I got for you is like Fleetwood Mac and Queen. I ain't got much else for you as far as following like those careers.
And then, they're too cheap to license the song for him, so they don't give him the song for his entrance music when he comes back. It's kind of like a viral campaign they run. And, man, when he came back, you would have thought that, we were getting just, the second... You would have thought Jesus Christ himself came down and decided to be a pro wrestler, and... the way people were acting in these comment sections, they were just attacking anyone that just didn't understand it or anything like that. It was quite sickening, really. And this was the height of the Triple H is just gonna fix everything. Vince didn't understand the Fiend, and think about all the stuff that happened with Bray Wyatt and the Fiend and all that. We've got tons of stinker matches, tons of career altering people interacting with him and having their careers altered forever. What's up, Seth Rollins? They had him out there getting squashed by Goldberg, and that sent them into hysterics. I think we found that very funny. They did the firing, and he was just hanging out for a year and never appeared anywhere else. Comes back, and James, I think we called it. Nothing would happen. It was more mystery box bullshit. He came out there and he sold some merch, popped some quarter hours, either by appearing or not appearing on the show. James, it is March now. That's just over 5, maybe 6 months ago. And I don't know what we really have except a couple goofy videos of him wearing a wig on his head, him introducing his brother to take all the bumps for him, the Uncle Howdy shit, and just some of the QR codes all the lore. The director of lore, I believe his name is Rob Fee, that was basically sending out all these snarky, condescending tweets to everybody, just thinking he basically, was about to revolutionize wrestling. And I'm sorry, man, the director of lore is not going to be the one that saves this business. Bray Wyatt is not going to be the one that saves this business. And we've been telling you this since 2013. This is a charlatan. This is a scammer. This is a carny. But at the end of the day, he got to take that rapist money. So Bray Wyatt, actually good. What did he do? LA Knight, he had a match with Soda that was in the dark. Literally, like Dev dancing in the dark. That's what he was doing.
Dancing in the dark. Wow. Yeah, man. I would say this a lot because like there has been a lot of bullshit, but it ultimately like you pretty much summarized it pretty well. Like there ain't really been much, even though there has been a lot. It's weird. Like
just
been a lot of like
insane
TV
promos,
time,
batshit insane promos.
Yeah, like this man was able to trick people into or more like directly. He was able to trick Vince and Triple H into having a feud with himself, which he then turned into a feud with his brother, which then turned into not a feud with either one. I don't know what like goes into all of this stuff. All I know is the end product of all this stuff when it ends up getting aired on TV ultimately is unsatisfying and leads to more questions than answers, and there's never any answers. And that's what I've always been saying about Bray Wyatt since 2013 is that when are we going to get to the point? When is he going to get to the fucking point? And when he came back, I was like, you know what's going to happen? He's going to give you a nice starting spot for people, and they're going to get intrigued because the dude is charismatic and a great talker, absolutely. But ultimately, he's not going to be able to deliver the goods of a satisfying conclusion to whatever it is he's doing because he never had before. So why would he do it now?
I'd like to give a shout out to all the top stars who avoided working with him, to Seth Rollins, who actually went on the record and basically like gave the game away about what the top of the card thinks about this man. It's hard to work with him. It's hard to work with the character, and everyone else that I think if you're stuck wrestling Bray Wyatt, like that means you're not a star, but if you are a star, you actually can say, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah. And think of some of the like.
It's been how long? He's had one televised match, right?
Yes.
And then like
so far,
you were going to tell me he was going to head into a feud. They were going to pitch him to Brock. They were going to pitch him to. They shot an angle for Lashley.
Yes.
All this tells me is you actually had no plan when you brought him back.
Long term, probably not. As far as like we bring you in and we know what you're going to do at WrestleMania. No, I don't think they actually had a plan. And I also think that's the reason why Brock was like, "Oh, no, you tried to get me to work with this dude in 2016." I said, "No, I'm not wrestling this guy. No, not doing it." So they came up with that goofy, way to get out of that, to where like Lashley loses, gets his ass beat, and then gets rewarded with a WrestleMania match or whatever. And it's like, do you want to see Bob? Obviously, no answers. Fuck no, right? But like,
right?
Can you think of like a worse pairing for a WrestleMania match than Bobby Lashley and Bray Wyatt?
Somebody that's as hard of a worker as Bobby Lashley, and like,
I mean, let me rephrase it. Amongst people that actually like bring value to the company, or actually like people that are actually like hard workers and good. Like, if you want to say almost, yes, almost will suck worse. Yes, but I mean like people that are actually like players on the roster.
I think the Lashley thing is such a like a mismatch, right? Because his character's not really that interesting to play off of. Like, he's the big muscle man, he's kind of angry, and they had Wyatt doing like a comedy kind of spin to it, but like and Lashley being the straight man is, I guess, how you would react to that, right? But
yeah,
just talking about in the ring, like they can't do anything together. I know Wyatt's not going to want to like get suplexed a bunch of times. I know Lashley isn't really. There's nothing really for Wyatt to do to Lashley aside put him in a chin. Aside from putting him in a chin lock or something like that. So like, I just find them very incompatible. And then like you think about like his career, like, all right, let's say they were gonna do the House of Horrors match or whatever the fuck they call it, the thing he did with Cena.
I forgot what it's called. House of Horrors was the one with Orton in that abandoned house.
The Firefly Funhouse match. Say
they
were gonna do that. Like, what can they really put on there for Lashley? Like, they're gonna put him like going to TNA. They can't use Trump. So like what are they gonna do?
They could. They just won't.
Yeah, they know better now.
They're trying to hide that connection, even though like I can go on internet and type in like McMahon family in Oval Office and see what pops up.
Yeah, like
it's amazing when it's like you can see what could pop up for certain people, but certain people it's like, oh, we don't want to put them in the Hall of Fame. It's this particular time because what might pop up if you put in an image search.
I'm glad you mentioned the Hall of Fame. Something I don't have written. Rey Mysterio. We'll get to Rey in a second, but as far as this Bray Wyatt thing, it is an abject failure. It was always going to be an abject failure.
Yep.
And I don't care what happens from this point forward. It's going to be an abject failure.
Yeah. Like, what's the turnaround on this? Like,
what do we have to keep waiting, James? Like,
right. Like, if you're saying like, if somebody, that was, because I'm pretty sure this will get clipped, so we put on the YouTube, and then like there'll be people in the comments that will say something along the lines of, whenever we've, completely just rule someone out, whether it was Liv Morgan or Alexa Bliss, and just be like, we don't get it, blah, 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 blah. And it's like
haters, blah, blah.
Yeah. And like,
YouTuber idiots.
Look, man, it is fun to talk about how bad some of the stuff he's done has been.
I get great joy out of like telling people how horrible this is.
Yeah, I do. Like, I'm not going to pretend like I don't get enjoyment out of that, right? But it's ultimately just like, look at the track record. What does the track record tell you? Like, it's been shit. This has been shit. It probably will end up being shit. Like, what do you...
It's almost like some Bret Hart best there is ever will be shit. That's what it almost sounds like. But, you got to ask questions, Suddenly, Bray Wyatt not wanting to come around, with Vince McMahon being there, ask questions. But